Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Manoj Singh Rana with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks central and state agencies to ensure normal life is restored at the earliest in Cyclone Yas affected areas. To visit Odisha and West Bengal tomorrow to review impact of cyclone. Prime Minister calls for expediting steps to expand operations under National Digital Health Mission. Says mission will unleash digital health tech revolution with innovations and various services for citizens. Health Ministry says country witnessing steady decline in number of daily new reported cases of COVID-19 from past 20 days. India becomes second country after United States to administer over 20 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Over 22 crore vaccine doses provided to states and union territories so far by the centre. Centre issues guidelines for COVID-19 vaccination centres near homes for elderly and differently abled citizens. Highest single-day load of 1,195 metric tons of oxygen relief delivered to the nation by Oxygen Expresses. Government rejects claim made by Twitter over freedom of expression in India. Says Twitter seeks to undermine India's legal system. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to chair 43rd GST Council meeting in New Delhi tomorrow. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, take all precautions, and all those above 45 years of age who have taken the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to get vaccinated with the second dose at the scheduled time. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today asked central and state agencies to ensure that normal life is restored at the earliest in Cyclone Yas affected areas and relief is appropriately disbursed to the affected people. Chairing a meeting to review the impact of Cyclone Yas, the Prime Minister noted the effective and proactive role played by the agencies in responding to the challenges thrown by the cyclone. During the meeting, officials made a detailed presentation on various aspects of preparedness, assessment of damages and related matters. It was discussed that about 106 teams of National Disaster Response Force were deployed with 46 teams each in West Bengal and Odisha that rescued more than 1,000 people and removed more than 2,500 trees and poles that had fallen and obstructed the roads. The Army and Coast Guard also rescued marooned persons, while the Navy and the Air Force were on alert. In the meeting, it was said that though the states are engaged in the assessment of damages caused in the aftermath of the cyclone, from the preliminary reports available, it is seen that due to accurate forecasting, effectively communicating to the people, and evacuation in a timely manner have ensured minimal loss to human life. Power and telecom services have been restored in most of the affected areas.
The Prime Minister will also visit Odisha and West Bengal tomorrow to review the impact of Cyclone Yas. Relief and rescue operations are underway in the 2 states as the cyclone left a trail of destruction in Odisha and West Bengal. Mr. Modi will also do an aerial survey in affected areas of Baleshwar, Bhadrak and Purbo Medinipur. He will also hold a review meeting in Bhubaneswar. The Prime Minister will also take part in a review meeting in West Bengal. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will be attending the review meeting to be held at Kolaikunda in Poshchimi Medinipur district. According to a preliminary review by the West Bengal government, damage of at least 15,000 crore rupees is likely to have taken place due to the cyclone. The central government has already announced more than 400 crore rupees in advance as compensation for the damage caused by the storm. Besides, on behalf of the state government, the Chief Minister said that another 1,000 crore rupees would be allocated for relief and compensation. Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik conducted an aerial survey of the cyclone-affected areas in the northern part of the state today. While the restoration work in all cyclone-affected districts is in progress, there are reports of a couple of rivers in North Odisha district swelling. We have a report.
Briefing media this afternoon in Bhubaneswar, Special Relief Commissioner Pradeep Kumar Jana said that the state government has alerted the collectors of North Odisha districts like Jajpur and Kendrapada to stay prepared to ensure the safety of the people. He said as many as 146 blocks of the state have received heavy to very heavy rainfall, including 77 blocks recording as high as 30 to 40 centimeters rainfall during the last 2 days. Meanwhile, amid cyclonic devastation in the form of waterlogged villages, news of the safe delivery of around 750 babies in hospitals during the cyclone has come as a breath of fresh air thanks to the pre-cyclone shifting of more than 2,000 expectant mothers to nearby hospitals. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Meanwhile, Cyclone Yas has been progressing in northwards direction towards neighbouring state Bihar. It has further weakened after entering into the plains of Jharkhand and Bihar and is currently measured at a speed of 8 to 9 km per hour. Although the cyclone is no longer a severe storm and has gradually weakened into a depression, all districts of Jharkhand have been affected and are witnessing intermittent rainfall due to the cyclonic effect. More from our Ranchi correspondent.
Squally and gusty winds at a speed of 10 to 20 km per hour can be felt in the southwestern parts of the state, leaving an impact of the cyclone in Jharkhand. Water level in Kharkai River is still crossing above the danger mark, and Rajnagar block of Saraikela Kharsawa district has been totally cut off from the rest of the district. Weather department has issued orange and yellow alerts for northwestern and central parts of Jharkhand.
अगर चेतावनी की बात करें तो खासकर मध्य झारखंड और जो उत्तरी झारखंड है उसमें कई जिलों में भारी से बहुत भारी बारिश की चेतावनी दी गई है और कुछ जिलों में भारी बारिश की भी चेतावनी दी गई है.
East Singhbhum district administration has been continuously giving alerts to people living near the bottom of river banks to immediately shift to district administration's shelter camp. Shilpi, AIR News, Ranchi.
In Bihar, a low-pressure area is formed in the state following weakening of Cyclone Yas in Jharkhand. The Met Department said it will enter the eastern Uttar Pradesh tomorrow through Kaimur and Rohtash districts of Bihar. The state is witnessing heavy to moderate rainfall in several districts including Kaimur, Rohtash, Gaya and Patna. Widespread rainfall and thunderstorm are likely to occur in Bihar till Saturday. As an effect of the weakened Cyclone Yas, majority of the districts in the eastern Uttar Pradesh are witnessing mild to moderate rainfall today. In its latest forecast, the IMD has said heavy to very heavy rainfall accompanied by thunderstorms and gusty winds will occur in the next 48 hours in eastern and northeastern parts of the state. 18 districts of eastern Uttar Pradesh are put on alert.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today directed that steps should be expedited to expand operations under the National Digital Health Mission NDHM. Mr. Modi said that the NDHM will bring ease of living for citizens to avail a large number of health services. Chairing a high-level meeting to review progress of NDHM, the Prime Minister said it will unleash a digital health tech revolution with innovations and various services for citizens. Last year, during his Independence Day address, the Prime Minister had announced the launch of NDHM. Since then, the digital modules and registries have been developed and the mission has been rolled out in 6 union territories. So far, nearly 11.9 lakh health IDs have been generated and 3,106 doctors and 1,490 facilities have registered on the platform. Union Health Ministry has said that the country is witnessing a steady decline in the number of daily new reported cases of COVID-19 from the past 20 days after reaching a peak on 7th of May. Addressing the media today, Joint Secretary in the Health Ministry, Love Agarwal, said that on 7th of May, over 4,14,000 cases were reported, which has now come down to about 2,11,000.
और आज अगर हम देखें 27 तारीख को तो देश में 2,11,000 के करीब केसेस रिपोर्ट हुए हैं. यह अगर एक और डेटा हम देखें तो पाते हैं कि 25 मई को देश में पिछले कुछ दिनों के अनुपात में देखें तो सबसे कम केसेस यानी कि 1,96,000 केसेस रिपोर्ट हुए हैं और 17 मई से कंटिन्यूड बेसिस पर हमारे देश में 3 लाख से कम केसेस रिपोर्ट हो रहे हैं. यह एक पॉजिटिव डेवलपमेंट है. जरूरत है कि इसको हम कंटिन्यूड बेसिस पर मॉनिटर करते रहें.
Mr. Agarwal informed that the recovery rate has improved to 90% from the level of 81.8% on 3rd of May. In reply to a question, Mr. Agarwal clarified that the media report on an estimate of COVID cases and deaths is totally baseless and is absolutely false.
रिगार्डिंग द इशू की कोविड रिलेटेड डेथ कोई कंसील हो रही है, ये क्वेश्चन ही अराइज नहीं होता, क्योंकि शुरू से ही हमारा एफर्ट्स रहा है कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक ट्रांसपेरेंट तरीके से सारी कोविड पॉजिटिव केसेस हों, जितने टेस्ट किए जा रहे हैं और जितनी डेथ है उनको रिपोर्ट करें। यह जरूरी है ताकि हम ओवरऑल इन्फेक्शन की ट्रेजेक्ट्री को समझ सकें, इन्फेक्शन के कंट्रोल के लिए क्या एफर्ट्स करने हैं, उनके लिए हम रिक्वायर्ड एक्शन ले सकें।
During the briefing, Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul said that the second wave of the pandemic is stabilizing in most parts of the country. He said the number of active cases and positivity rate is declining.
Today, we continue to note stabilization of the second wave in most parts of India, both by the number of cases as well as by declining positivity rate and a very sustained and high overall testing coverage. So that's reassuring, but we must remember that we are achieving this, as I said last time, in the face of very significant restrictions in most states. In addition to, of course, the other tools in operation, including testing and COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination efforts. But nonetheless, it is reassuring that we are on the downswing of the second wave, and we do believe and hope it will be sustained, and it will be sustained even when the restrictions gently, systematically and cautiously opened up as the time comes.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked central and state agencies to ensure normal life is restored at the earliest in Cyclone Yas affected areas, to visit Odisha and West Bengal tomorrow to review impact of cyclone. Prime Minister calls for expediting steps to expand operations under National Digital Health Mission, says mission will unleash digital health tech revolution with innovations in various services for citizens. Health Ministry says country witnessing steady decline in number of daily new reported cases of COVID-19 from past 20 days. India becomes second country after the United States to administer over 20 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Over 22 crore vaccine doses provided to states and union territories so far by the centre. Centre issues guidelines for COVID-19 vaccination centres near homes for elderly and differently abled citizens. Highest single-day load of 1,195 metric tons of oxygen relief delivered to the nation by Oxygen Expresses. Government rejects claims made by Twitter over freedom of expression in India, says Twitter seeks to undermine India's legal system. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to chair 43rd GST Council meeting in New Delhi tomorrow. For quick news updates on the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back. You're listening to the evening news. India has become the second country after United States to administer over 20 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccines in the country. Over 20 crore 27 lakh doses have been administered in the country so far. The Union Health Ministry said more than 18 lakh 85,000 vaccine doses were administered yesterday. The Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said that more than 1 crore 84 lakh COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered to the beneficiaries. The ministry has said the central government has provided over 22 crore 16 lakh COVID vaccine doses to states and union territories so far. Of this, the total consumption of doses, including wastages, is over 20 crore 17 lakhs. The ministry has assured that 11 lakh vaccine doses will be provided to states and union territories within the next 3 days.
The centre has issued guidelines for near-to-home COVID vaccination centres or NHCVC for elderly and differently abled citizens. All above 60 years with no vaccination or first dose vaccination, along with all citizens below 60 years with disabilities, will be eligible for COVID-19 vaccination at NHCVC. In the guidelines, the Union Health Ministry has asked all states and union territories to follow a community-based approach where sessions can be conducted in a community centre, residents' welfare association centre, panchayat ghar, school buildings and an old age homes to vaccinate these eligible populations. Based on the cohort of eligible population, the District Task Force and the Urban Task Force will decide the location of NHCVC to maximize the reach of services to the target population. The task forces will also be responsible for planning and implementation of vaccination at the NHCVC. The NHCVC will be linked to an existing COVID vaccination centres for vaccination purposes, and each team at NHCVC will comprise 5 members, including a doctor. Vaccine is a crucial pillar in the fight against COVID-19. The liberalised and accelerated Phase 3 strategy of COVID-19 vaccination drive has already started in the country. Despite the government's efforts to vaccinate all the beneficiaries in the quickest manner, misinformation has been spread about the ongoing vaccination drive. Amid the alleged shortage of COVID vaccine in the country, a claim has been made that the centre is not doing enough to buy vaccines from abroad. The Government of India has termed this claim distorted and blatant lies. More from our correspondent.
The central government has been continuously engaged with all major international COVID vaccine manufacturers since May last year. Multiple rounds of discussions have been done with the leading vaccine manufacturers like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson and Moderna. The government has offered all kinds of assistance to these companies to supply and manufacture their vaccines in India. The union government has said that buying vaccines internationally is not similar to buying off-the-shelf items. Vaccines are limited in supply globally and companies have their own priorities, game plans and compulsions in allocating their stocks. The government has said these vaccine manufacturers give preference to countries of their origin like our own vaccine makers have done for India. As the Pfizer indicated vaccine availability, the central government is working for the earliest possible import of Pfizer vaccine in collaboration with the company. Besides, trials of Russian COVID vaccine Sputnik have also accelerated, and with timely approval, Russia has already sent 2 tranches of vaccines. Very soon, the Indian companies will also start manufacturing of Sputnik vaccine in the country. The government has requested all international vaccine manufacturers to come and make vaccine in India for the people. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
Union Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers, D.V. Sadanand Gowda, has announced that the additional 80,000 vials of amphotericin B drug were allocated to all the states and central institutions today. The drug is used in the treatment of mucormycosis. Of the total allocation, 18,140 vials have been allocated to Maharashtra, 17,330 vials to Gujarat, 6,150 vials to Madhya Pradesh, 4,450 vials to Andhra Pradesh and 1,920 vials to Delhi. The Indian Railways has so far delivered more than 18,980 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen (LMO) in over 1,141 tankers to various states across the country. The Ministry of Railways in a statement said that the highest single-day load of 1,195 metric tons of oxygen relief has been delivered to the nation by oxygen expresses, surpassing its previous high of 1,142 metric tons delivered on 23rd of May.
The centre today said that COVID relief aid received as international cooperation is being promptly dispatched and delivered to states and union territories. The Health Ministry said that cumulatively over 18,000 oxygen concentrators, over 19,000 oxygen cylinders, 19 oxygen generation plants, over 14,500 ventilators and BiPAPs, around 7 lakh remdesivir vials and 12 lakh favipiravir tablets have been delivered or dispatched through road and air from the 27th of last month till yesterday. Ayush Minister Kiran Rijiju today launched the Ayush Clinical Case Repository Portal and the third version of the Ayush Sanjeevani app in a virtual event. The Ayush Clinical Repository Portal will serve as a platform to support both Ayush practitioners and general public. Sikkim today reported 408 new COVID-19 cases.
taking the state's case tally to 14,214. This is the highest number of cases reported in the state in a single day. The state is under a complete lockdown since 17th of this month, which is effective till 31st of May. More from our Gangtok correspondent.
Of the 408 new COVID-19 infections reported on Thursday, East Sikkim reported 216, taking the district's total cases to 9,935. West Sikkim reported 97 new cases with a total of 1,380 cases, while South Sikkim reported 75 new cases with a total of 2,437 cases. North Sikkim recorded 20 new cases and the district has reported 250 cases so far. New 225 recoveries were also recorded in the last 24 hours. So far, the state has recorded 6,261 COVID-19 cases and 93 fatalities this month. With Saikat Sarkar, Parijat Sharma from Gangtok for AIR.
In a special interview to AIR News, Maharashtra Surveillance Officer Dr. Pradeep Avate today said that during the first and second wave of COVID-19, the infection rate among children was the same. He said there is no scientific data available to prove that during the anticipated third wave, the infection rate among children will increase. He appealed that parents should not be panicked about corona infection among children. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
In Maharashtra, during first and second wave of corona, 2.4% children below the age of 10 years were infected due to coronavirus. However, the recovery rate of this age group is around 99.8%. Maharashtra State Surveillance Officer Dr. Pradeep Avate said that a major reason for this is lack of receptor protein among children.
Pediatric population actually lacks the receptor protein, which is essential to bind the S protein from the virus. That is why this kind of serious mode of infection is very rare among pediatric population.
Mr. Avate states that out of 10,000 cases, severe or the patient succumbing to virus is only 7 patients. The fatalities were reported in children diagnosed with blood cancer, hemophilia and malnutrition. He said that children are not vaccinated might be one of the reasons for prediction of an increase of coronavirus cases among them, the result of which precautionary measures like COVID task force pediatric wards are being set up. Jeevan Bhavsar, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Jammu and Kashmir, the Department of School Education has started radio classes from All India Radio Srinagar for classes 5th to 8th from yesterday onwards. The move is aimed at compensating the academic losses suffered by the students from the past many weeks in view of the closure of schools due to the unprecedented circumstances owing to COVID-19. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
The online classes are being taken by the teaching fraternity of the School Education Department in Kashmir Division through different means of communication like Google Meet, WhatsApp and Zoom apps, apart from the Learning Management System LMS, which maintains a record of the students logged in for online classes. But still, there are numerous students who have no access to either internet or smartphones and subsequently could not register on the online learning management system LMS. So the initiative to impart classes through All India Radio Srinagar would definitely go a long way to reach out to the student community living in far-flung areas of Kashmir Division having no access to the online means of communication. This is Sunil Kohl for AR News from Srinagar.
The central government today approved a proposal to provide financial relief of 5 lakh rupees to each of the families of 26 journalists who died due to COVID-19. Earlier, it had provided such assistance to 41 families of the journalists who died due to coronavirus, taking the total number to 67. The Journalist Welfare Scheme Committee, headed by Information and Broadcasting Secretary Amit Khare, declared the financial assistance for families of the journalists. A group of people associated with media has come together to help the families of those frontline journalists who were the sole bread earners and succumbed to COVID-19. They have created the Frontline Journalist Memorial Fund. The frontline journalists should not be accredited with any government body. Talking to AIR News, founder of a news media startup and one of the key contributors in the initiative, Anil Kumar said the fund was initially started by a few friends, but now many other non-media people have also joined the initiative. We have a report.
The Frontline Journalist Memorial Fund will provide assistance towards the school fees of children. Any family who needs assistance can send an email at frontlinejournalistfund@gmail.com. Speaking to All India Radio News, Mr. Kumar said,
ऐसे परिवार जहां का प्राइमरी ब्रेड अर्नर फ्रंटलाइन मीडिया जर्नलिस्ट था और उनका कोविड की वजह से निधन हो चुका है, उन फैमिलीज के बच्चों की एजुकेशन को हम सपोर्ट करेंगे।
Mr. Kumar informed that they have received several requests.
अभी तक हमें उन्नाव, आगरा, गाजियाबाद, अजमेर, भरतपुर, उड़ीसा जैसी जगहों से 15 रिक्वेस्ट आ चुकी हैं। अभी कोशिश ये भी है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचा जा सके ताकि ज्यादा लोगों की मदद हो पाए।
Diksha Saxena, AIR News, Delhi.
The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live phone-in program, Corona Jagrukta Series, tonight will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Dr. A.K. Varshne of RML Hospital will participate in the discussion. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. The government has rejected the claims made by social media platform Twitter over the freedom of expression in India, saying protecting free speech in the country is not the prerogative of only a private, for-profit, foreign entity like Twitter. It asserted that India has a glorious tradition of free speech and democratic practices dating back to centuries. Countering the microblogging site's statement in which it had expressed concerns over the potential threat to freedom of expression and alleged intimidation tactics by the Delhi police, the centre said Twitter's statement is an attempt to dictate its terms to the world's largest democracy. Through its actions and deliberate defiance, Twitter seeks to undermine India's legal system. In a statement, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology said Twitter refuses to comply with those very regulations in the intermediary guidelines on the basis of which it is claiming a safe harbor protection from any criminal liability in India. The ministry added that Twitter needs to stop beating around the bush and comply with the laws of the land. Meanwhile, the Delhi police has also countered the claim of Twitter, saying its statements are devised to seek dubious sympathy when they themselves not only refuse to comply with the law of the land.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will chair the 43rd GST Council meeting through video conferencing at 11 a.m. in New Delhi tomorrow. The meeting will be attended by Minister of State for Finance Anurag Thakur. Finance ministers of states and union territories and senior officers from the union government and the states will also participate in the meeting. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet has approved one-year extension to both Chief of the country's premier intelligence agency, Intelligence Bureau, IB, and the Research and Analysis Wing, RAW. IB Director Arvind Kumar's tenure has been extended by 1 year till June the 30th next year. Similarly, RAW Secretary Samant Kumar Goyal will also continue in office till June 30th next year. Both the officers had tenure till 13th June this year.
India's Mary Kom has entered the finals of the Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai. She defeated Lusai Khan Alantansetseg of Mongolia 4-1 in the semi-final of 51 kg category today. In another semi-final, boxer Sakshi beat top seed Dina Z of Kazakhstan in the semi-final bout by a split decision of 3-2. The two wins have ensured at least 2 silver medals for India in the series. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi will have a mainly clear sky. Temperature will hover between 23 and 39 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Chennai will have a partly cloudy sky. Kolkata will have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rains. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 24 degrees Celsius while maximum will be around 40 degrees. Srinagar will also have a mainly clear sky. Temperature will hover between 12 and 29 degrees Celsius. Leh will see a partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 4 and 20 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will also have a partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 17 and 31 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 18 degrees while maximum will be around 37 degrees. Dehradun will have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards the afternoon or evening. Chandigarh will see a mainly clear sky. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks central and state agencies to ensure normal life is restored at the earliest in Cyclone Yas affected areas. To visit Orissa and West Bengal tomorrow to review impact of cyclone. Prime Minister calls for expediting steps to expand operations under National Digital Health Mission, says mission will unleash digital health tech revolution with innovations and various services for citizens. Health Ministry says country witnessing steady decline in number of daily new reported cases of COVID-19 from past 20 days. India becomes second country after US to administer over 20 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Over 22 crore vaccine doses provided to states and UT so far by the centre. Centre issues guidelines for COVID-19 vaccination centres near homes for elderly and differently abled citizens. Highest single-day load of 1,195 metric tons of oxygen relief delivered to the nation by Oxygen Expresses. Government rejects claim made by Twitter over freedom of expression in India. Finance Minister to chair 43rd GST Council meeting in New Delhi tomorrow, and India's Mary Com enters finals of Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai. And with that we end the evening news. Good night.